Don't try to impress people with complexity. Impress them with simplicity. You don't have to have Mickey Mouse or a castle to bring this experience to life. I know people say, well, Disney shouldn't be in that business, but Disney should be in the business that follow the customer.
Sejam muito bem-vindos a mais um Faria Lima Late Show, talk show do mercado financeiro. E hoje, Brasil, presença internacional. E eu tô aqui, vou usar a tradução, mas não é porque eu não falo inglês. É porque é tradição dos talk shows brasileiros. Jô Soares fazia isso, Danilo Gentili faz isso. Então vamos fazer esse show acontecer. Tô aqui com o Dan Cockerell. Thank for coming.
Boa tarde.
Best. Boa tarde. Ele fala português, francês, japonês.
Não.
Não, japonês não.
Não.
Ele foi vice-presidente da Disney durante 26 anos. Ele também começou ali a Euro Disney. Então a gente vai trocar uma ideia sobre esse jeito mágico que a Disney faz e que ele, obviamente, ajudou a construir com as suas próprias mãos e suas ideias. Dan, thanks so much por você ter vindo aqui.
Thanks for having me.
Muito legal para a EQI receber você aqui na Money Week, que está acontecendo no nosso evento aqui no mercado financeiro. No Brasil, a gente não tem muita cultura, assim, de sonhar, de repente, tão grande. Eu acho que a Disney fez isso através dos desenhos, de todas as culturas, dos filmes, que a gente conseguisse sonhar desde pequeno um pouquinho, né? Como é que foi o seu começo da carreira? Porque o meu amigo Bid, que fez junto com você, ele me contou um pouquinho da sua história desde o começo. Você começou bem de baixo, né? Você não veio da riqueza.
After university, when I got out, I had a political science degree, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. But I had worked at Disney in college, and I really enjoyed the teamwork down there, and I have a heart for service. So I went to Walt Disney World, and I interviewed, and I said, I have a political science degree. I'd like to work here. What can I do? And Disney said, you should park cars. Yeah. And so they put me in the parking lot at Epcot, and that was my first job. And I did that for about 6 months, and then I went to France to open Euro Disney back in 1992. And I said, well, what am I going to do in France? And they said, well, you know how to park cars, so you can go park cars internationally. and I opened the park April 12th, 1992. And I spent 5 years in France. And then 21 years at Walt Disney World and 19 different jobs. Every 2 years I was going to a different job and worked my way up through the company. And it's a very common story at Disney. People start at the bottom and work their way up to learn the business.
Não, e é incrível porque esse movimento de vir de baixo e dar oportunidade para as pessoas, eu acho que casa muito com o Brasil, né? Tem poucas famílias ricas no Brasil, então é muito difícil começar de cima. Então acho que a gente tem essa similaridade, né, de começar por baixo e ir crescendo. E na Disney, como é esse processo de criar os sonhos, né? Que eu sei tem a metodologia Disney, você faz aquele chute na lua e depois vai criando as histórias. Como funciona esse processo de fato lá dentro?
Yeah, well, you know, it started with Walt Disney and the reason he created Disneyland. Back in the 1950s, there were only fairs that would be operating, and they were dirty. They weren't very safe. And he imagined creating a place where parents could spend time with their kids as a family. And so he created the concept of the theme park. And so a big part of Disney is creating a story and immersing people into a story so they can forget reality and enjoy their time together. And because he came from the movie business, he understood how to create backgrounds and create storylines and characters. And so the way Disney operates, it's a show. And every day the curtain pulls back and the guests step into the show and they get to be in the show. And all the employees are cast members, they're actors, and we have scripts and we bring the show to life. And at the end of the day, the curtain closes and all the guests leave. And so we have that mindset that we are there to deliver a very specific experience to our guests, and that's how you create magic.
Não, isso é incrível, né? Eu já estive na Disney nos Estados Unidos, na França ainda não fui, mas no Japão também. E você vê, de fato, todo o cuidado que tem, né, com a Disney e tudo mais. Só que tem alguma metodologia, de fato, da Disney? Como vocês fazem ali o brainstorm, digamos assim?
Yeah, how the experiences are created.
Yes.
Yeah. So the way Disney operates, we talk about being guest centric. When Disney designs an experience, we always think about the guest first. What are they going to see? What are they going to smell? What are they going to hear? How can they have that experience together? So it starts with a story. Everything has a story. And then we bring in technology, ride systems, maybe special effects, and figure out what that storyline is going to look like. So let's say we build the haunted mansion, right? Haunted house. The idea is when you arrive, it looks kind of scary, and there's tombstones, and you hear this music playing, and all the cast members are very serious and they don't smile. And then you get to go through the haunted mansion and see what it's like after dark, and you get to see 999 ghosts. And it's not scary to the point that we're trying to scare kids, but we want to really envelop them in that storyline. And so a lot of the stories are, let's start with emotions, because when you touch people's emotions, you have them. And then on top of that, add the engineering, add the technology about how to bring that experience to life. So it takes many diverse points of view and a lot of diverse skills to bring that whole story to life and be able to operate it every single day.
Incrível. E é incrível mesmo e de fato isso acontece. E aqui no Brasil, por exemplo, a gente tem várias histórias de empreendedores que nos assistem também. Isso é possível fazer esse efeito Disney em todo tipo de negócio?
Yes, absolutely. And that's a big part of my message when I speak with companies, hospitals, healthcare companies, banks, hotels, shipping companies. The Disney approach is you don't have to have Mickey Mouse or a castle to bring this experience to life. I think the main thing you need to do is decide what your business is going to be. What is the architected, planned experience you want your customers to have? When they go on your website, how do you want them to experience that? When they call your business, how do you want to answer the phone? So you have to be very specific and draw out what that experience is going to look like. And then you put the processes in place so it goes along. And then you empower your customers to make the customers feel special. Find opportunities to treat them as individuals, to make them feel special. And I've had that experience in Brazil. When my wife was getting on a plane recently with Latam, they saw her passport, French passport, and they said bonjour, right? So just using her language was just treating her as an individual. I went to a restaurant in Brazil recently, and it opened at noon, and they saw we were waiting. And at 11:57, she opened the door and let us come in instead of waiting until noon. So if you can get your employees to always think about how can I create a great experience for my customers and my guests, and how can I do that with a repeatable, consistent way, people will trust you, and customers want to trust your business. And if you can be reliable and deliver the same level and continue to exceed expectations every visit, they'll come back and they'll tell others about it. And that's how you grow your business, return business and referrals. You listen to your family or your neighbor when they refer a business, and you're more likely to go to that business and stay to be a customer with them.
E na Disney acontece muito isso, né? Quantas vezes, em média, as suas... Tem até o Annual Pass, né, na Disney. Quantas pessoas costumam voltar para a Disney?
Overall, when I was there, the number was about 85%. 85% of guests who had been there already. And Disney doesn't focus on price because it's a very expensive place to visit. Disney focuses on value. And so if you can deliver a great experience, you can raise your price, because when you touch people emotionally, they're more than willing to give you their money. And so they don't like paying a lot, but they will because they know they can't have this experience anywhere else. And that's how you run a great business. You can't compete just on price. You have to differentiate your business. And like I said, every business can be differentiated. You just need to be creative and realize your customers are your most important people. And how do you create surprises for them? Do whatever it takes to make them happy. And when you do that, your profits go up exponentially.
Muito bom. E qual é a maior dificuldade para uma pessoa para a pessoa conseguir implementar o método Disney? Porque a minha esposa fala muito sobre isso, de a gente pensar muito fora da caixa. E às vezes eu tenho limitação mental para isso. Essa é a maior dificuldade, a cabeça do ser humano?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. One is entrepreneurs and businesses get so focused on running their business, they forget to see it from the customer's point of view. They put policies and processes in place to make it easier for them, but it makes it more difficult for their customers.
Yeah.
And so I tell businesses, be a customer in your business with a lot of frequency. Once a month, I used to be a guest at the Magic Kingdom. I would dress up like a tourist, put on a hat, and I would drive, I'd park,
Nice.
I'd buy a ticket, I'd ride the attractions, I'd buy merchandise, I'd go to the food and beverage locations, and I'd just take notes and take pictures. Because I'll tell you, when you're the vice president of the Magic Kingdom, you don't wait in line to get on rides.
Yeah.
But when you're a guest, you have to wait in line for 2 hours, and it's miserable. And so you start to become much more empathetic about what the customer's going through, and then you become creative about how to fix those problems. I think the second thing is creating clarity. Every employee needs to clearly understand what their role is, and they need to know how important they are to the business. We get caught up in this idea that the CEO is the most important person, and then the general managers, and then the employees. I don't see the business that way. In my opinion, everyone in a business is equally important because they all play a role to deliver the products and services to guests. Now, the CEO may make more money and have a nicer car and have a better title,
Yeah.
but he's not more important. And so when you can get everyone focused on the mission and say, you know what, it's not working for the CEO, we're working for the customers, and we're all part of the team, we all matter, and we all get to contribute, people are inspired because they feel valuable. And that's what Disney does. Everyone at Disney's job is to create magical memories for guests, from the vice president to the person who cleans the bathroom. And everyone always thinks about that every day. How do I create a great memory for the guests coming in? And when you do that, you empower your employees and you make them feel inspired. And when they're inspired, they do incredible things.
Demais, mas eu acho que a grande dificuldade é como você consegue passar para os employees, esses trabalhadores, essa cultura. Ainda mais aqui no Brasil. Eu acho que talvez a América Latina tenha um pouco essa cultura de querer mal o CEO, porque está ganhando menos de repente. Então, como a gente consegue implementar isso também na cabeça do funcionário?
Yeah, well, culture is relative. Just because you live in a certain country doesn't mean the culture of your company needs to be that way. And we create cultures at home. When my wife and I raised our kids, no one was allowed to have an electronic device at the dinner table. That was the rule, including me. So we could have family time. That was the culture. And so I don't think CEOs should blame, or anyone should blame, the country they're living in or where they are. If they decide they want to create a specific culture, they need to decide how to do that and start role modeling. They need to be out in their operation. They need to talk with their employees and listen to them. They need to talk with their customers. Because as a parent and a manager and executive, you're constantly role modeling. Everyone watches you, and they decide how they're going to act based on how you act. And it takes some modesty. You have to get rid of your ego and really understand, I'm not here for the money. I'm here to take care of the customers and my employees. And if I do that, the money will come.
E para a Disney, obviamente, uma das ações que mais empenharam bem ao longo do tempo. Agora a gente está enfrentando um pouquinho de guerra dos streaming. Você falaria para o investidor brasileiro olhar com carinho para as ações da Disney, por exemplo, e por quê?
Yeah, so Disney, it's a very complex business. Disney has the movie studios, they have the streaming now, television, theme parks, and it's a very complex business. The good thing is usually when the parks are doing well, the studios may not be, and when the studios are doing well, the parks, so it balances out. But the future is going to be about providing value. You can't just keep raising prices without creating more value. And I think Disney's doing that by looking at new markets to get into. They just announced that they're going to start ESPN Bet and get into betting and gambling, which is Disney never would have done before. And I think it's a great thing. I know people say, well, Disney shouldn't be in that business, but Disney should be in the business that follow the customer, and customers want that service, and they're willing to follow that. So, Bob Iger is back until 2026, and I think he's on a mission to get the company back to the level it was and figure out. He's a visionary guy, and I would bet my money on him.
Incrível demais. E aí, depois que você saiu da Disney hoje, qual é o seu business principal? Eu sei que você inspira muita gente através das palestras, mas conta um pouquinho para a audiência o que o Dan faz hoje e como você consegue inspirar as pessoas, obviamente, não só através de suas palestras.
Sure. So my wife worked for Disney for 16 years. And so between us, we've worked for Disney for 41 years. And 5 years ago, we decided it was time to go get some freedom and have our own business. So we travel the world now. We do keynote speeches together and individually. We do leadership workshops. We do consulting. And we bring a point of view of a woman's point of view, a man's point of view, a Disney point of view on how to operate businesses. And people can find us at cockerellconsulting.com. And we are at a point in our life, our kids are grown up, so we will hop on a plane and go anywhere, anytime. We love traveling and we love going to new countries.
Eu também estou mais ou menos nessa pegada de viajar o mundo. Eu e minha esposa, a gente ama viajar muito. Fui para os Estados Unidos agora, recentemente, que eu te contei ontem. Então é um negócio muito legal. E é muito legal a forma que você conseguiu transformar isso, toda a sua experiência, num business, né? Que é na sua própria pessoa, né? Hoje o Dan Cockerell é uma marca e consegue desenvolver bem. Hoje dá para através do Dan Cockerell e nas redes sociais também, né? Como o pessoal te acha e consegue acessar essa mente brilhante.
Yeah, so I have a podcast called Come Rain or Shine. I've been doing for 3.5 years. So we have about 350 episodes. I talk about leadership. I interview entrepreneurs and leaders. Very active on Instagram at Dan Cockerell. I wrote a book called How's the Culture in Your Kingdom that actually came out in Brazil 2 years ago. And my wife wrote a book that's going to come out this fall of 2023 in the United States and Brazil. In Portuguese, it's called Liderai como uma mãe.
E agora, para a gente finalizar, queria que você desse um recado mesmo para a nossa audiência, tanto os investidores, né, que é um programa de mercado financeiro, mas como os investidores conseguem, de repente, transformar a sua vida através dessa magia da Disney e também para os empreendedores, né, deixar aquela mensagem final que você consegue, obviamente, com toda a sua experiência, passar para o pessoal.
Yeah, so what I've seen, great companies, first of all, their founders, their CEOs, their leadership team is they're passionate. They're not doing it for the money. They're doing it because they believe in the purpose and it's personal for them. And passion can create anything. And so you start with passion. I think something I've seen Warren Buffett talks about, he says, if I don't understand how a company makes money, I don't invest in them. So today, the world is very complex. And I think Disney continues to believe in simplicity. Make things as simple as possible, understandable. And when you can do that, people understand. And when people understand, they trust. And so simplify things. Don't try to impress people with complexity. Impress them with simplicity. And if you can deliver that and you can understand how to differentiate yourself from your competition, often through creating a relationship, an emotional connection, whether it's banking or theme parks or hospitals, you'll be successful.
Top demais. Dan, muito obrigado.
Obrigado.
Obrigado por ter vindo mesmo. É uma honra ter você aqui.
Thank you.
E é incrível a sua história e como você consegue inspirar a gente, como eu falei anteriormente. Gente, esse foi o Dan Cockerell. Sigam ele nas redes sociais, podcast, que vai ser incrível, tá bom? Beijinho. Tchau.